Welcome everyone to our quarterly Kentucky Innovation Hub update. This is, of course, presented by KSTC in partnership with our friends over at the Cabinet, with the KY Innovation, the Office of Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And we are now 3/4 of the way through fiscal year 26, as we continue to work together to strengthen our entrepreneurial regions. And of course, each hub dedicated to supporting tech and tech-enabled founders across the state. We'll move to the next slide. And I just want to remind everyone that at any time you can go back to any of our prior quarterly updates from the hubs or even our state of startup reports. Those are cataloged in our library over on the kstc.com site. You can click on our initiatives, click on the hubs, and just scroll down. You'll see all of the past recordings for our quarterly public updates and the state of startups. You are certainly welcome to share that with anyone in your network. We'd love to have you do that and use that as reference material. All right, let's jump into it. Our state of startups for Kentucky report for this past quarter. We're going to look back at the last 9 months, showcasing the impact and the results of our innovation hubs and the achievements they've accomplished between July 1st of 2025 and March 31st of this year. And of course, through the hub's assistance, entrepreneurs have a tremendous amount of access. They have access to some really vital resources from the hubs, including personalized startup coaching, access to capital, customer acquisition support, mentorship opportunities, talent connections, strategic introductions, and of course, networking in their communities. So with this State of Startup report, we're highlighting the entrepreneurial achievements in Kentucky from the past quarter. And I'm going to take a moment for what we call a hail and farewell. So this is an opportunity to welcome new leadership within our Innovation Hub network while expressing our sincere gratitude to those who are moving on to their next chapters. And we have quite a lengthy or extensive hail and farewell. So first, I want to welcome Jen Callahan. She is co-founder and chief visionary officer of Amplify in the Louisville region. And she will be stepping into the role of Hub Director for the Louisville and Elizabethtown regions served by Amplify. And Jen will be transitioning into that role over the coming months as Larry Horn steps away from his profession of ecosystem building, startup coaching to join a really exciting startup in his next chapter. And while we hail Jen, we also have to say farewell to Larry. And as he has often said, the organization is bigger than any one person. And he has certainly built Amplify Innovation Hub and its team to be well positioned to continue supporting entrepreneurs in their region. And I want to personally thank Larry for his years of dedication as a multi-time founder and a leader of this thriving organization. Many founders and partners have benefited from his coaching, his steadfast advice, connections, and steady leadership. Next, we have to say farewell to Garrett Farbach, director of the Awesome Inc. Innovation Hub. Garrett's going to be making a big move to Nashville to pursue his passion for music, but he will remain with Awesome until they name a successor. And Garrett's enthusiasm for entrepreneurial support, his curiosity about this particular field, his willingness to share all of his knowledge with all of us, and his positivity have been absolutely invaluable. And of course, no one can command a stage quite like Garrett can. We also need to wish farewell to Buddy Steen, who will be retiring from the Create Innovation Hub as programs director. Buddy has spent more time in this profession than probably most of us, bringing his experience as a former tech founder to help grow the entrepreneurial community in the Bowling Green region. And his impact on the region and many founders will be quite lasting. And finally, we say farewell to Reese Watson, Chief of Staff at Blue North, who has worked alongside Dave Knox. Reese began her journey as an NKU fellow, and we've been very fortunate to benefit from her operational leadership and strong connections to student founders, and especially that next generation of venture leaders. So, Awesome Inc., Create, Blue North, they are posting these open positions, and we hope that you'll share them within your network and your circles because we know that the right leaders in these important roles will really help to shape the future and the success of founders and, of course, strengthen the state's innovation ecosystem. So in the meantime, please join me in welcoming as we hail Kevin Davis. He's a new entrepreneur in residence for the SOAR Innovation Hub, and we're excited about the strength of support that Dana and her team have continued to build for founders in the region, in the eastern part of our state. We do have some congratulations to extend. Heartland Ventures has raised $60 million for their third fund to invest in industrial tech startups across the Midwest. So that does include us. This VC firm has a network of approximately 1,000 industrial owner-operators as part of their pool of limited partners, 12 of whom are based in the Louisville region. And Heartland is interested in pre-seed, seed, and Series A rounds, with average check size being 2 to 3 million. Congratulations to Ben Reno Weber and the team at Essential Innovations on their selection to Techstars in their Workforce Development Accelerator cohort. Congratulations also to John Harnage, founder of the Kentucky Thermal Institute. They were named the 2026 Small Business Person of the Year for Kentucky by the U.S. Small Business Administration, and that is one of the nation's highest honors for small business leadership. Narratize's co-founder, Katie Trouth Taylor, is taking the national stage as one of 3 startups selected to present at the 2026 MIT Enterprise AI Forum in Cambridge. And this selection highlights how this particular startup is redefining enterprise innovation with AI purposely built for product development teams. We know Better Blend. They're on the first floor at the cafe there at Spark House. They're taking their mission of accessible, feel-good food into a major new market. So founded by Isaac Hamlin, Better Blend is expanding to Tampa with 3 locations and 2 blend mobiles, bringing their community-first approach to new markets. Another 9 is a fast-growing indoor golf startup. They were recently featured on the My First Million podcast, and that spotlighted what the team is building and where they're headed. They are expanding to the West Coast with a new franchise owner bringing their brand to Seattle. And then finally, Hempwood is featured throughout a new Patagonia store in Hobart, Tasmania, with their hempwood products being used for custom shelving, picture frames, doors. Another great example of hemp-based materials moving beyond concept and into real high-traffic commercial spaces. So jumping quickly over to capital, the Innovation Hubs and I track investment activity across Kentucky from our startups, which means the number of startups that receive funding and the total amount invested in them. So since the start of this calendar year, since January 1st of this year, Kentucky has had 33 startups funded with almost $55 million in early stage investment. And to highlight this last quarter in the Blue North region, congratulations to Definity. They raised $14.3 million of Series A venture funding from Accrete Health Partners and other investors. And they are a centralized workforce management platform, and they're specifically designed for healthcare operations. And then in the Awesome region, congratulations to Parasite Systems. They raised $10 million of venture funding from Key Horse Capital. They're developing a veterinary diagnostic platform that aids in the in-clinic identification of parasites, pathogens, and hematologic indicators. This past quarter, we've had one exit. A startup exit is when the founders and the investors of a startup have the opportunity to cash out, usually by selling the company, could also be by taking it public. And it's basically the end game for most startups, where all of the effort and hopefully the risk ideally turn into a financial reward. So this past quarter, Health Tech Solutions, based in Frankfurt in the Awesome region, is a healthcare platform consulting firm that improves healthcare outcomes. They were acquired by Health Management Associates for an undisclosed amount. And then last but not least, in some hub news, Larry Horn, again, Executive Director of Amplify, was recently honored by Louisville Business First Power 50. And this recognition reflects not only Larry's leadership, but Amplify's growing impact in building a stronger, more inclusive entrepreneurial ecosystem. So that's what I've got in the most recent State of Startups report for you. And again, you can find that over on the KSTC site shortly. And with that, we're going to jump over to David Brock, who's going to give us a quick cabinet update.
Hi, Lisa. Good morning, everybody. Wonderful to be here and have the opportunity to highlight the work of the hubs and the successes of the startups and founders that they serve. The impact that Lisa covered really demonstrates the wide array of ways that the hubs bring value to founders. And you can see it in the metrics, the hundreds of founders that they work with, the tens and millions in funding raised by startups. But they also point to the value of connections. And this is something that I come back to again and again. The hubs don't just tell you what to do. They open doors for great ideas. They make connections to capital, customers, collaborators that can really help companies move to the next level. And so I'm thrilled to be here as always for these quarterly updates because we not only get to see the big numbers and the metrics that they are responsible for, but we also get to hear the story of a company that they helped reach significant milestones. Um, and so I also wanted to just quickly note that another thing that doesn't necessarily pop in the metrics, but is really important that may go unsaid during this is some of the startups that the hubs work with and have had great success, whether it's raising a round, exiting, or reaching one of those critical milestones, have worked with multiple hubs. And so we are really starting to see the network effect and the success of the collaborative model that the hubs are a part of. There are also multiple companies I should note. I work within the Cabinet for Economic Development. We support entrepreneurs, entrepreneurship, and startups. But the business development function of the cabinet works with much larger companies. And so we have a suite of services and a menu of incentive programs that support larger companies. And we are starting to see with much more regularity companies that came in through the hubs, they grew, they acquired customers, built revenue, and then part of their model was to go on and either create an established manufacturing or hire a large number of people, and they then qualify for some of those larger incentive programs through the cabinet. So it's again demonstrating that no matter what the trajectory of a startup company is or the intention of the founder, if it's a rapid exit, if it's steady growth, manufacturing, or another path to scale, the hubs are connecting companies to the right resources at the right time. Just briefly, and then I will turn the microphone over to the real celebrities here. We are coming out of a legislative session where there have been, I think, some really remarkable additions to support for innovation and entrepreneurship. There will be more to come on that in the weeks and months ahead, but just wanted to highlight that there is additional funding for early stage venture. There is funding for biotechnology and life sciences, early stage support in particular. And then there is broad funding for supporting ideas, initiatives, and programs that will hopefully lift up the work that the hubs and other groups that support entrepreneurs do across the state. Lastly, they did reauthorize and provide additional funding for the grant program. So, if anybody is familiar with that, the state started a program 3 years ago that will provide the state required or local match for federal grant opportunities. And so that is something that will continue over the next 2 years. So it's something, if you are pursuing a grant, part of a group pursuing a grant, keep that in mind on July 1. Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, everybody, for being here.
Great. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. And we're going to jump right into it in the interest of time. Of course, we're all familiar with what I call our hub map, working our way around the state. As you know, our 6 innovation hubs covering 120 counties in various different service regions. And today we're going to start over in our eastern part of the state with SOAR. And each hub, if we'll move to the next slide, each hub is going to give a very brief update on a startup win from their particular region in the last quarter, their key results for the 9 months that we have been in this fiscal year against the goals that they have set. And they'll highlight one event from the last quarter that they've held, and then we've asked them to share a quick story about an investor connection for a startup by that particular hub. So moving right into it, we're going to start again, as I mentioned, with SOAR Innovation. And we've got Dana Barnett, who is Director of Entrepreneurship there, and she's going to talk a bit and with Scott Stuckey with Fair Chance Works. Hi, Dana.
Hi, it's good to see everyone. So Q3 was a big quarter for us. I'm going to start off with Dr. Scott Stuckey, the founder of Fair Chance Works and ROI Hire, and let him tell you a little bit about his success and where that company is going. So Scott, take it away.
Thanks, Dana, and I appreciate the opportunity to be part of this. Fair Chance Works and our ROI platform is basically focused on helping employers make hiring decisions and unlocking opportunities for a workforce that's often overlooked. Our work is built on years of connections with the innovation hubs. Awesome Inc. helped us with an earlier business achieve our first patent, and the work that SOAR's been doing has been tremendous recently. We've also had SBIR backing, and what brought us from Tennessee to Kentucky was a match that we had for an SBIR grant with USDA. So the role that they play in the interconnectivity has just been tremendous. Recently, we've moved from a working demo that's engaged directly with employers, and we're well positioned for pilot opportunities. And it's basically allowed us to not only accelerate our growth, but follow a distinct pathway. So I'm very grateful for having the opportunity to be part of the hubs and very excited about the next turns.
Thank you so much, Scott. And the work that he's been doing and his team, is unmatched. And I'd like to throw out here for this business in particular is the beautiful thing that technology and scalable companies can do while also having an impact on people in communities. And Scott's a great example of that. So thank you for your work and your dedication to the region.
Thank you.
And now we'll talk a little bit about the numbers. We'll talk about the metrics here. For the first 3 quarters, we have served 281 startups. So that has been tremendous to get to work with each and every one of them and see their growth. And when we talk about growth, we think about Startups Advanced. And you might not know exactly what that means if you're just hearing that term, but what that looks like is apps launching. It looks like connections to investors. It looks like validating the market and the product that they are building. And it looks like becoming venture backable. And all of that takes a very, very strategic process. And so we're super excited for some of our startups like the Kentucky Coffee Trail and their ability to launch an app and blow their Q1 goals out of the water within the first 6 days of being live. And that was just with an iOS app. So Android is still yet to come. But when we think of Startups Advanced, that's what we think about. We think about how are we getting from one stage to another and making real traction. And then that also leads us to startups investment. And so with that, we've had 175,000 in investment in Q3 through the beginning of the year, and that is in companies like Toothsure, who have been able to validate that market and who have been able to make great connections. And that doesn't negate the huge bootstrap that they've put in and the amount that they have put in before this. And they are currently continuing to raise and going to be very successful at that and having a great impact. And what that investment really shows and what we deeply, truly care about is that's jobs created. And they have been able to do that with that investment and will continue to do so. One event I'd like to highlight is our AI for Startup Sprints series. We had a 4-series session and we brought in experts on AI and on different sectors, everything from operations to marketing to storytelling, and really digging down into that. How are we utilizing AI? How are we democratizing AI so it's available for people to create quick MVPs, to validate ideas early, to fail early, fail fast, and succeed with great technology. And as technology advances, we want to be at the forefront of making sure that is accessible and available for our founders. And so this series was greatly successful. We had, close to 30 attendees at any given session, and we had several that attended all sessions. And we're able to bring on people from each section of their team into the different series. And this is something that will continue in the future. So if you're interested in this, you can find us at soar-ky.org/AI. And we have a wonderful AI and technology transfer manager who's going to continue to bring AI to the forefront of startups. And when we talk about investment connection, I want to bring up Dr. Baker and Toothsure. They have worked with our EIR request to validate, to do the due diligence process, and to get investment ready. And we've been able to make connections both to Key Horse Capital and then continue to help them as they reach angels in their community, their friends, their families, and the people that are really excited about seeing a healthcare-based business create manufacturing jobs in Eastern Kentucky, because at the end of the day, that is what Dr. Baker wants. He wants to see Southeast Kentucky succeed in manufacturing, and they've been able to make great connections both as investors, but also as they bring in manufacturing, they're going to be able to manufacture other medical products in these facilities. And so that duality of their intention has been very attractive, and they're continuing to raise now, and we are excited to see where their future goes.
Great. Thank you so much, Dana. Thank you, Scott, for sharing your connection. And we certainly appreciate all of the intra-hub support that you've received through that network effect we talked about earlier. So thank you both. Now we're going to jump over to the opposite side to our western region of the state. And we've got Maggie Choate, who is program director with Sprocket. And Maggie, I believe that you also have Mark Anderson with Santerre with you today. You are muted. And there's Mark.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to dive in with Mark. I'm not going to say too much, and I'll let Mark do most of the talking here, but I will say personally, this is one of my favorite companies that we work with because I am a huge houseplant lover. And so I've already told Mark that I am on the edge of my seat waiting for some fertilizer. So I'm gonna let Mark take it away, but yeah.
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, so I'm Mark Anderson. My company is called Santerre International. It's a sustainable development company that aims to improve environmental and public health outcomes through engineering and research and that sort of thing. My background is in engineering and humanitarian aid, and I wanted to bring a sustainable development company right here into Western Kentucky. So our first program is converting invasive Asian carp into organic fertilizer. I've been working with Sprocket for the last 2 years. It seems like it's been ages, but I guess it's actually gone by fairly quickly. When I was first starting, I had several ideas that I was working over for the company. They set me up with a mentor and got me in contact with the Kentucky Science and Engineering Foundation. So this provided me with some early, really critical direction to kind of focus on something. And it, with a lot of help from the KSEF, led to an SBIR grant, phase 1 grant. And that was followed on with the Bluegrass Ag Tech Development Corporation grant. And most recently this year, the Kentucky Innovation SBIR matching grant. This didn't happen overnight, obviously. During these early stages, I had this background, this technical and operational background. So the research and development was going well. The planning for scaling was going well. But I was really struggling with the learning curve for the business development. So I was invited to join Sprocket's Market Fit Lab that really helped crystallize what I needed to do to develop the business model and what I needed to do to move the company forward. And I'm currently in the business operating systems workshop, which will help me as I prepare to scale the company. So Sprocket also vouched for me to receive much needed funding through Keyhorse Capital. So even though I had all this funding on paper last year, it wasn't available to me due to the funding freeze and followed on by the government shutdown. I was burning through my own funds. We were at risk of folding. But with Sprocket's help, this Keyhorse funding came through at the end of the year, which has really helped launch us into where we are this year, in addition to the funding freeze situation being resolved. So we're currently in the process of upgrading the electricity and installing production equipment in our facility based right here in Western Kentucky. We aim to begin some small production this year to generate revenue and support our ongoing SBIR research. And we look to be positioned for a strong start to 2027 with the spring planting season. So other networking support that Sprocket has facilitated includes connecting me, or the company, with the University of Engineering School, their campus here in Paducah, where I've had the support of a professor and students, as well as lab space for research and development. And additionally, they've connected me with the Kentucky Commercialization Ventures, with whom I'll work later this year to help expand the team by 2 positions with paid interns, which will really help us expand in other directions. So Sprocket Support has transformed the company. They were instrumental in helping us through 2 critical periods of when the future of the company looked not certain at all. So first through the business model development, and then through helping secure a financial lifeline. So we're here today, setting up a production line and preparing to launch products that will support Kentucky's ag tech development because of Sprocket support. And beyond that, the broader ecosystem available here in Kentucky. So we really appreciate that, and we're really excited to what the next steps our future will be. So thanks so much.
Thanks, Mark. We really, really love working with you. And thank you for being here. Alrighty, our metrics for this year to date, the ones I want to talk about are, for one, our startups advanced and new businesses created. Those kind of go hand in hand. We have been able to really increase our pipeline this year from previous years, and in that, we've been able to see more new businesses created, especially with our partnership with Keyhorse and with other funding avenues that we've been able to see founders move from this idea to a real business. The other metric I want to talk about, or couple of metrics that go together is startups funded and amount invested into startups. This year, more than really any year previously, from my knowledge, is we're starting to see this influx of funding to more than one of our companies, so many of our companies. So several of our companies, as Mark said, we've been working with for several years now, and they're all now starting to get this influx of funding because they've done the work early on. Mark being one of them. And we just had a founder we had two founders actually close rounds. One was an angel round of 300K, and another one just closed a 750K seed round. So I'm really, really proud of that metric and really proud to see not only funding coming into these companies, but coming into more than one of them. And just an add on, you guys are going to be seeing a lot from us here soon because, as you can tell, Mark is very, very close to launching. And then we've got like one, two, at least two more companies on the brink of launching as well. And so a lot of activity happening over here. We're really excited about all that's going on. Next, we've got an event we had last quarter. This was an event we had in partnership with the Greater Owensboro Economic Development Corporation in early March. We went over there to a local pub and we just had a panel discussion with some of the local business owners, entrepreneurs. It was a great discussion. Ended up talking a lot about AI, a lot about marketing, and it was just super casual. It was a great way to get connected to another community. If you don't know, Owensboro is about 2 hours away from us, if not more. So being able to do that was a really good way to get connected personally over there. So, and then lastly, a company that we were able to help get connected to funding is this company I think is new to you all. I don't think we've shared about them yet. It's called Weller Co. They have a product called Hydration, and it is a women's health electrolyte drink. It's super, super good for you and good for your hormones. And the founder, Lucy, struggled with her hormones for many, many years, tried all the different supplements, all the things. And then she developed this product. And so she's been working really hard to get some funding and get manufacturing figured out, her packaging figured out, all of those things. While being a young mom, they're working like 3 jobs, weekend jobs. It's incredible how much work they put into this. But we were able to get them connected to Keyhorse for a 25K investment into their company. And so I'm really excited as to where they're headed. And again, they're super early, but I think they're going to do great things.
Great. Thank you so much, Maggie. Lots of excitement happening in the western part of the region. And thank you also, Mark, for sharing specifically the numerous programs that you've taken advantage of in order to advance Santerre International. And we continue to watch you. So jumping over to the central region, we have Buddy Steen, Program Director, short timer there over with Create. Welcome, Buddy.
Thanks, Lisa. It's been a great, really appreciate the CED Innovation Hub program. I mean, it truly was the program that's responsible for us to have the Innovation Campus as we have today. I mean, it's our economic development arm. The Innovation Campus is kind of our sustainability model. And just really proud to be here. I'm moving back to the private sector, as you said. I'll turn back to investing and working in tech in the private sector side. Systematize is my startup success. We're so proud of that company. That's a recent pivot. I met Sarah about 4 years ago. We were touring her county, Ohio County, in our kind of as we go out and talk to people, and found out that she was a subject matter expert in back office systems and the technology allowing that to scale. And we saw immediate opportunity for her to work with a lot of our talented people, and she is doing so. And she just recently pivoted from what they call distance assistance, you may have heard about her before, to the Systematized group, and launched a new website in April. She's building templated systems that help companies get organized as they scale, right? Which is really, really cool. We've supported her, connected. As David said, it's all about opening doors, making connections, that kind of thing. We work with her quite a lot, and we're really proud that she's staying true to her roots in the coalfield regions of Kentucky and being successful there, right? Because a lot of her connectivity has to do with the remote, connections. And so she's not just a time for service virtual assistant company anymore. She's really a tech-enabled solutions provider, and we're proud of her. Her catchphrase is "Stay in their zone of genius," is what she allows our scaling companies to do, and that's wonderful. So we're proud of her. Okay, metrics wise, we're doing actually pretty good. Startup served 483 of our 550 goal. Referrals 177. A lot of activity goes, there. That number. There's a lot more going on than just 177. I can assure you, but that's what we tracked, and we're past our 12-month goal. Startup advance is important. We started paying attention to this. As we did that, we realized that a lot of our startups are advancing. I mean, they're in a continuous state of advancement. So we have blew our goal out there. Number of new startups, we have 19, which is about right. Past our annual goal already. Events, I mean, this is turning into a unique event host venue. I mean, people are coming. They're expecting that from us. These are things that don't happen throughout the community, don't happen really anywhere in the region. We've had 26 events, 1,100 people show up. We've had 6 startups funded. Amount invested is actually more like 5.1 million. 2 million of that came at like the end of June in one of our companies. So really, we don't track it like that. We started the first of the fiscal year, so we're at 3.1 million. Number of new jobs, 29 full-time and 15 part-time, and that just continues to grow. So we had an interesting event that I thought I'd bring up. Because Create is the ecosystem side of the Innovation Campus, it's the economic development arm. We play a central role in our entrepreneurial ecosystem development strategy and doing it. I sat with Judge Gorman in one of our we call it startup gardens, and it was well attended. Obviously, we even streamed it out on the internet. We talked about a lot of things. We talked about, how do we get from here to where we're going, 2050, 2030, and it really does have a lot to do with creatives, talent being one of the essential pieces, making a place where talented people want to be, which Bowling Green absolutely is. I mean, we're getting people coming in swarms of people actually moving up here from Nashville because we essentially are in the northern Nashville corridor. We have our own style. We have our own vibe here, and it's highly conducive for tech companies. And we've had 285,000 square feet in this particular place, but the region is working well as well. We've got folks in Glasgow, Kentucky, all over. And so when we talk about, even though that's the Warren County Judge Executive, we don't look at county boundaries when it comes to ecosystem. So that was a very successful talk. Next, MoneyBot. Okay, so they're a success story in many ways. They were recently shown on the Kentucky edition of KET on April 20th, a couple days ago. Me, the Khalil, Sean at Vecteezy. Khalil runs the MoneyBot group. We were all interviewed by the KET folks, and I encourage everybody to go there because it really does give you a feel for, what's the value of collaboration, and an environment to be able to build an ecosystem, be able to build these type of companies. MoneyBot raised $100,000 locally. They launched their first. This is a financial literacy program mixed with AI and an app. And Khalil Garman is the founder and CEO of that company. He launched his first school in January. He's got 25 pilots since then all over the state. He's killing it. He's got one new pilot. He tells us about every week. And he is he partners with folks, right? He's got lots of junior achievement, Kentucky Department of Ed. what he needs from you guys is, connections to folks that want to implement financial literacy. And by the way, the Kentucky legislative folks just passed a law about financial literacy. They passed one of the first financial literacy education laws, which has really put a lot of wind in his sails. And so if you're in need of any of that type of thing, he's got a really cool website, really cool app. He's the real deal, and he's one of those he's one of those AI companies that are really maxing out the value of that. And so we're really proud of him. Also, David mentioned about crossing the state. I think Khalil, I swear, I'd be surprised if he hadn't met with every hub director in the state. I know he was in Louisville all the time. He's in Lexington all the time, and so they have helped him tremendously. Those hubs, we continue to his headquarters is here, but he is a statewide guy. He's very much a connector. He's one of our ambassadors at Create. We have an ambassador program, and we're so proud of him and the successes that he's having.
Great. Thank you so much, Buddy. And certainly we are very familiar with Khalil and enjoy him, and we wish him much continued success. Again, another great example of someone who's taking advantage of every available opportunity presented through multiple hubs. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You're
Appreciate your update. All right. Moving over to our Lexington region, another short timer, Garrett Farbach, who's director of Awesome Inc. there. Welcome, Garrett.
Hey, Lisa, how you doing today?
Good.
We'll go ahead and begin. And Lisa, first off, thanks for the kind words. That was unexpected and very appreciated. Our kind of sad to say as well, because this company just wrapped up their year in the fellowship. But company I wanted to highlight is TimberSync. These guys have a really cool story going from actually being in the forest industry, running skidders, running big logging machines, to trading those things in for software and for laptops. But a couple of specific highlights is they have gone through the really frustrating period of, as you're growing as an early company, having to make hires fast and learning if we make the wrong hire, it can actually impact us negatively. So a couple quick stats before moving on. They just hired actually one of Awesome Inc.'s former youth coding instructors. They poached him from Apple the day they met him, which was a really funny story. But they, again, overcame that hurdle of making the wrong hires and learning how do we deal with people, because as an early company, our reputation matters. And then we've given them a number of referrals from both Awesome Inc. and our sister software company, Apex, that just were not the right fit they were looking for in the developer slot. But most importantly, one of the mentors that we connected them with, Mike Scanlon, who is a Lexington-based Kentucky Entrepreneurial Hall of Famer, he has been a mentor of theirs outside of the fellowship for one of the programs we leverage, that his industry is hospitality. So he gets understanding how to work with people and train them and equip them, which that was an area where they have grown in. And so he's been a really big value add to what they've been doing with their operation. So proud of Ace and Eddie with TimberSync. A couple key metrics. I'm going to go startup connections, startups advanced, and then new businesses. So between February and March, I don't know what happened, but we just had an influx of a lot of new companies that we had not either heard of or met with, or maybe got lost in the long chain of email threads that we had to resurface and go back to. But a lot of those were folks that were applying to Five Across, our fellowship program, and our partner, the Awesome Fund for investment. And so just taking a lot of introductory calls, and if they weren't a right fit or where they started, it wasn't maybe the best program for them. It was oftentimes just giving them resources, whether it was an AI tool sheet, if it was to do some customer validation, go back and fill out a business model canvas, whatever it was. The goal is to give them resources to help them actually figure out, A, do I want to be an entrepreneur? And B, oh, this is going to be a challenge, but I'm up for it. So we had a drastic increase. And then for Startups Advanced, I know that's our key metric. A lot of it was the first time identifying companies and meeting with them, giving them some of that homework, and then saying, okay, they are earlier on than they actually initially thought they were. So let's help them advance in some of those first stages that they're trying to identify people, actually validate their idea, etc. And then that last one for new businesses created, that just came from a lot of new companies actually entering our pipeline, and through a number of intake forms or referrals. And also big shout out to the team at SOAR, that I think they single-handedly have introduced us to about 10 different companies within the last quarter. So thanks to their team for doing that. Next one is you guys know these events very well, is Five Across. The reason I want to highlight this one specifically is that we had a number of Kentucky Entrepreneurial Hall of Fame inductees. One was an actual inductee, one was Executive of the Year, Randy Bufford and Stephen Gray. And then we had our 2023 Five Across winner, which is Allie with Wicked Technologies, was our sponsor for that event. That's one of the pictures there. And then we had a number of different companies that have pitched, which was special. And then the winner, Jackie Jolie with Animasol, was launched and accepted into our recent fellowship cohort. So just cool to see different programs and past alumni giving back to what we're continuing to do. So we're really excited about that. And then the last one for the company investment is one of our current fellowship companies. This is Amanda Mia with Bestie, based out of Louisville. And she has gone through a number of pivots since we've been working with her, but we helped her unlock $25,000 as part of a bridge investment in our fellowship. And then Lisa, I think I goofed and I might have left a little bit of text off, but she is currently raising 1.5 million for her fundraising round. And Ben Strevey and I, we've been doing a little work with her, refining her pitch deck, helping some of her language as we're going to help her connect with different investors. So that's it for me. I'll drop my email in the chat. If I can be a resource, please feel free to reach out. And Lisa, as always, thanks for the time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Appreciate the update. We are going to be jumping over to our northern region now. Dave Knox is joining us, Executive Director of Blue North. Hi, Dave.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
We're doing well.
Awesome. So we'll jump right in here. So first off, I want to start with one of our really fun companies here in Beltways. So Beltways is showing that we can build hard tech here in the Midwest and creating really, really fun companies. So these guys moved from San Francisco because of partnership with CDG Airport, actually. And what they're building is the world's first accelerated walkway. So it's the ability to get on one of those moving escalator sidewalks and have it ramp up to 5 miles per hour to get you where you're going faster. And it's an opportunity that is in airports, cities of the future, workplace and manufacturing, all kinds of really, really fun things. So these guys are getting close to launch. They will be doing their pilot project at CDG, opening here in this summer. So it should be the next few months. We're actually taking a group of Blue North founders to experience in person in 2 weeks to get to ride the walkway and see what it's like. But with that, they were just accepted into the NVIDIA Inception program. So super excited to have them go out and see what AI can also do to combine this world of hard tech into different things. They've been big partners across the board with us, including they were one of our initial Northern Kentucky Entrepreneur Fund recipients back about 2 years ago. And Blue North was also the original introduction to them for Keyhorse, which has been one of their largest supporters along the way. So super excited for these guys. Next up, moving over to the metrics side of things. Things continue to go super well. We continue to see the dividends and the payback from opening the physical space of Spark House, both in what it's doing for connecting of the startups and the one-on-one time that we're able to spend, but also being the center of this community. So our events ramped up much more than we expected because of having the space and what we can do with it, the amount of entrepreneurs we can support, engage, and really drive across the board. And while the number of startups funded has gone down this year, the amount of investment has gone up. Main driving factor of that is in years past, we had a partnership with Main Street Ventures where we were able to do a lot of grants that drove the volume. They have since pulled back their efforts in the community. So these are more very traditional kind of venture type of rounds that happen to be larger in scope. Next one. So speaking of the events and the excited but sad departure of Reese moving on from the team, is the Student Venture Capital Summit is something that she actually really spearheaded and created 3 years ago. So we just had the 3rd annual event. The first one took place in Cincinnati at Union Hall. The second one took place at Hotel Covington. And now it's got its permanent home here at Spark House. And this event brought 100 students from across 15 different universities as far away as Purdue, Ohio State, Western Kentucky had a few participants, et cetera. So a really special event to open the eyes of our students across the region of what is venture capital. What are the differences between being an investor, an analyst, a platform manager, and what are all the ways that they can get into this as an experience and a possible career for them. So an awesome event and one that we'll have to figure on how do we carry on the tradition that Grace has started for us. And then final slide is on the investment connections. So Empath EQ is a really fun company that recently closed their seed round from Key Horse Capital and Fire Road Ventures. This is a great success story of really being able to bring somebody, because of the resources that we have, to become a Kentucky-based company. So these guys actually started the company originally at the 1819 Innovation Lab, which you can see in the image there. We have to get some new graphics and pictures from them. But they came in because of the Brink Accelerator program, and that was their entry into the Northern Kentucky ecosystem. Brink is what we call our traction advisor program that you've seen brought up a few different times throughout this. But it was through that mentorship and that engagement that then led to them meeting the Fire Road team, who ended up leading that investment, and also meeting the Key Horse team that rounded that out. So super excited for where these guys are going. They already have pilots live with about 15 different universities and hospitals, and we can't wait to see where they end up and what they create here for us. So that's all we got in the world of Northern Kentucky.
All right. Thanks, Dave. And I absolutely want to see Beltways because nothing is more needed than getting me around an airport faster from concourse to concourse. So look
I
forward.
love it, Bob. I'll send you the details so you can come up and
Yeah,
join
I'd
the
love
founders.
to. I'd love to. Thanks. All right. And last but not least, we have our Jen Callahan, who is joining us with Amplify, representing, of course, the Louisville and the Elizabethtown region to give us the update that's happening there. Hi, Jen.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Lisa, and thanks for the hail and farewell.
Yes.
For Larry and I both, that we are both excited for different reasons, but we appreciate your kind words and support. So thank you for that. Yeah, so starting off with our startup success story, Revitalize Solutions. This is Janelle Jones, incredible founder, doing some really she's hustling. She's doing some great work around her tech. And this is a solution that helps hospitals improve how they leverage virtual nurses. She's a nurse herself, so she has a lot of background that continues to help her clients understand how to do that better without having to hire more people, but still create quality care for the patients. We started working with Janelle back in 2024, and then most recently have helped her through some of our coaching efforts, refine her go-to-market strategy. She has just been getting a lot of momentum, and we're doing a lot of connections to both customers and capital support for her. So excited to see Revitalize Solutions continue to grow. In our metrics, in Q3, we advanced 14 startups and have served over 197. The participants in our events was one that I wanted to highlight because we are seeing some major traction in the depth of the programming that we're doing through events, and just the community is showing up for it. So we are getting a lot of folks to the spaces that we're creating. So very excited to see some of that happening in the Louisville area and the areas we serve. Speaking of events, this was one that sold out in a record time. I think a lot of it is due to the quality of panelists that we had. These are just some of the women that are doing amazing things, either have had successful exits and growth in the startup space, or are in it today and hustling to, grow and move barriers that a lot of the people in the community wanted to hear from them on how are they doing that. And I've never seen a hungrier audience. The appetite to learn from this set of panelists was just really moving, really a successful event for us. So we want to do more of these because I think the community really is longing for it. And then in terms of the investment connections, there's, I think, around 12 million combined here between these two. The targeted introductions that some of our team has been able to do for these two teams has been a great help to them getting to some of these numbers. They're the ones out there doing the real work, but it's our responsibility to stay alongside them for the support that they need. And I think David Brock said it so well in the beginning of like, we're not, as hubs, we don't just tell the startups what to do, but that connection to the right sources at the right time is really where we see the traction. And this is just a result of that with some of the indicators that we have here with Good Maps and SoFab Inc. And that's it from Amplify.
All right. Thank you so much, Jen. And gosh, if we could connect Good Maps and Beltways together, how we could move people around.
Yes, let's do that.
I love it. I love it. All right, just to wrap us up, we're right at time. Go ahead and mark your calendars. You can save the date for our next Startup Resources series. That'll be on Tuesday, May 19th at 11 Eastern. And then this particular Innovation Hub update is scheduled for Wednesday, July 29th. That'll be a full year accounting of all of the progress of our 6 Innovation Hubs on July 29th at 10 a.m. And we'll see you then. Everybody have a great day and week. Thank you.